Welcome to part 30 of our Clone Wars rewrite. We are currently rewriting the character of Ahsoka Tano, and in this video we'll be focusing on Season 3, Episode 22, Wookiee Hunt, where we show this ordeal pushing Ahsoka to the point where she embraces the dark side. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, argument against Ahsoka for this episode. Ahsoka magically knows Wookiee, something that Rey is disparaged for. In the climax of the arc, Ahsoka endangers everyone by delaying their getaway just so she can wag her finger in the face of the Transocean leader, and she ends up killing him. To make her look good in the end, the writers have Ahsoka credit Anakin's teaching for her survival when she hadn't really mentioned him throughout that arc. The only time she does mention him is when she's like, my master would never forgive me for running and hiding. That's it. That's like the only time she mentions him.
Which is basically spitting on his character because it's suggesting that he would care more about her throwing herself into action rather than, prioritizing her survival and the survival of others.
And the survival of the others.
I'm also kind of surprised that we didn't mention the fact that, she dumps on Chewbacca's plan and then guilt trips him into helping them with theirs. I'm surprised we didn't mention that in the argument against Ahsoka, but we will get to that inevitably.
I believe I mentioned it in the growth series, the character growth series.
Yeah, I think we kind of put it in as a bit of a compilation or something of Ahsoka just kind of dumping on people's plans, as she loves to do.
A great student is what the teacher hopes to be. And I think we've kind of mentioned it before. It's not that this sentence is inherently wrong. It's that when you apply it to this series and this character, because again, it's Anakin needs to learn something. Even though Ahsoka is the main character of this arc, it's still Anakin needs to learn from Ahsoka.
Yep. Everyone else has to learn. Ahsoka is already perfect. How dare you question it?
I'm sick of following my dreams, man. I'm just going to ask where they're going and hook up with them later. That is our quote for this episode.
As Anakin Skywalker scours the galaxy, we find Ahsoka on the run as the hunters close in around her.
I love how Anakin's scouring the galaxy. How does one scour a galaxy? The galaxy is kind of big.
No, it's small.
Yeah, it's very small, according to Filoni.
Where is she? I've lost the scent.
I love how the one dude is oh, I lost the scent. She's right underneath you, dude. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. I also found it weird that, it wasn't Garnak who was chasing her.
Yeah, that too.
You'd think, especially given how the last episode ended, he would be more likely to jump in there and start chasing her.
Exactly.
Instead of being you go.
It was my son and all, but I don't feel like climbing through there, so you deal with it.
Other than, the problem of the scent, I do like how, she gets enough distance and then she hides under there. There's good tension there. She's being clever in how she's hiding. They have that moment where, if he just turned around, he'd see her, and then he does, but she's, climbed up out of view. It's good tension, the characters being smart, stuff like that. But with the scent issue, it doesn't work. And they highlight it.
Yeah.
He's smelling her, and then he talks about how he's lost her scent. It's how, bro? Though, what you could do is, okay, so for our version, she's injured but like not in such a way that it would like if she pushes through it, it's not going to hamper her too much.
Yeah.
Right? Like she'll be in a lot of pain, but like it's not like her limbs aren't working. It's just that her back it has some claw marks across it. And then yeah, we had Garnak being the one who was chasing her. I would maybe have it that like she spots, I don't like something that she can smear herself with to cover her scent. So whether that's mud or a creature's dung or maybe like a hive of honey or something like that, but like something she sees, and then it cuts away, it cuts to Garnak, and then yeah, he's like, oh, you know, where is he? She's sniffing, and then we get that pan under, and we see she's right underneath, and she's like, yeah, got this like gunk all over her skin, and then yeah, the scene kind of plays out the same, and now him losing her scent makes sense. If you have like in the background there's like a waterfall or a stream or something, then if she's clean in the next scene, it's not like unbelievable. It's like not like, what, how did that happen? It's like, oh, okay, she washed off. Or you could have it that yeah, there's like a waterfall or something. Actually, that would be kind of cool, like if you had this cave that they hide in behind a waterfall, because that would help hide their scent, I would think.
Oh yeah.
And then yeah, it would wash her off as she comes through, and it would, you know, it would also make sense for them because then they have a source of water right where they hide and things like that. So, and then they also don't have to worry about their own noise. I think it would kind of also help cover like, you know, the campfire, but I don't know. I've never lit a fire behind a waterfall at night, so I'm not actually entirely certain if that would be helpful or not, because then suddenly it's like glowing. I don't know. I think you could set it up in such a way that it would be believable.
You made it. Where's Khalifa?
She didn't make it.
She's dead.
We're all going to die here. It's only a matter of time.
So in our version, it's O-Mer that died. So she comes back to Khalifa and Jinx. I would say it, like as soon as they realize she's hurt, then like Khalifa comes running over.
I wouldn't have them notice right away because like it's on her back, right? So
yeah, but I would think like 'cause she's been running and trying to ignore that pain all day, so it's gotten even worse. You know, now it's like stinging from the waterfall or whatever, and like it's probably gotten a little infected at this point. So I would expect that, you know, she'd be wincing or whatever, right?
Okay. I would give the you made it line to Khalifa, and then I would have Jinx right away say, oh, you're hurt. Maybe they have some healing supplies on hand, so he goes to get them and start treating her wound. And then
because that would make sense.
We also had like in the last episode that they were kind of gathering supplies as they went back to the hideout. So yeah, there's that too. Yeah. So yeah, Jinx is treating her wound, and then Khalifa's kind of looking around like, where's O-Mer?
Actually, I just thought of something visually. When he like goes to grab the bandages, if you show that it's like an old shirt or something like that, and that it's got some like holes in it, you can basically they've taken these things from people who got killed, because it's like, well, we need that cloth, we need that, you know, this or the other thing or whatever, right? It really goes to show like they've had to do some really like, I mean, taking clothes off a dead person isn't the worst thing you can do, but it's not a fun task either when it's like you're taking from victims in the hope that you don't become one of them.
Yeah. When Khalifa says like, where's O-Mer, I would have Jinx pause, and then like Ahsoka's face kind of falls, and maybe she starts to like tear up again a little bit, and she's just like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I like that a lot better than having to spell out, oh, she didn't make it.
Because she's like, oh, she didn't make it. And then one of the others is
she's
like,
dead?
Oh, she's dead?
I have to
Yeah,
ask
thanks,
just
Sherlock.
to make sure that's what
that
it
is
means.
what that means. So I would have Khalifa respond like she gets angry and she's like, "You were supposed to look out for each other. You were supposed to protect him." And Ahsoka's like, "I tried." And Khalifa's like, "Well, you didn't try hard enough."
Maybe Jinx points out, like, we gotta.
Yeah, I would
look out
have
for ourselves,
Jinx
too.
play peacemaker in that moment. Like you can tell he's hurting too, but
Yeah.
he's not angry like Khalifa is. Like he recognizes Ahsoka is in the same position as all of them, and she probably did her best, but their best hasn't always been good enough. That's just a fact.
Yeah, and maybe even have him say that, like, when Khalifa's like, well, you should have tried harder, then Jinx is like, by now we should expect this, like, our best isn't always good enough. And that doesn't get her to calm down, but, like, maybe she, like, picks something up and throws it against the opposite wall or something like that and just kind of, like, vents some anger. What if then we go, like, and give O-Mer's line to her, right? Like, so she freaks out, she throws something, she kind of yells, and then she sits down and she just kind of puts her head in her hands. She's like, we're all going to die here. It's only a matter of time.
If it's only a matter of time till we die, I say we go down with a fight.
That is suicide.
You've said that every few days they release new prisoners on the beach. I say we attack that dropship head on. They'll never expect it.
Is it worth a shot?
Maybe it is.
Wow, they agree so easily. But I think we've pointed out before that her being like, let's go kamikaze, like, as Jinx points out, that's basically suicide, as far as they know. And she was condescending to Anakin in season 1, like, oh, suicide is not the Jedi way, master. And now here she's like, suicide mission, let's go!
Yeah, like you said, it takes like no convincing at all for Jinx and O-Mer to get on board. It's like, come
it's like,
on.
that's suicide. Well, let's do it. Okay.
Oh, these aren't characters. They're just not.
So yeah, I don't think it would make sense for us to have Ahsoka be like, wow, let's die.
Maybe Khalifa is the one who decides they go kamikaze.
Would that make sense for her to go from, like, super mad to despairing to determined? What if we have it that, like, instead of sad despair, it's kind of like maniacal despair? So she's like, we're all going to die here. It's only a matter of time. Like, we may as well just, like, go and let them kill us, and, like, we'll just go and we'll attack their dropship, or, like, something like, right? She just, like, starts throwing out, kind of these suicide ideas. I'd want her to mention a couple, and then mentions the dropship one, and then maybe Ahsoka's like, well, they'd never expect that. It might actually work.
Yeah, I like that.
And then I'd have Khalifa be like, are you stupid? Do you not get, like, this
wasn't
is
a serious plan I was putting out there.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, no, we're definitely going to die. So she kind of, like, begrudgingly acquiesces, like, kind of like, sure, okay, you know what, fine, yeah, let's go die. Okay, if you really want to go with my plan, then let's go with my plan. How would we have Jinx being? I'd maybe have him back up Ahsoka, be like, yeah, like, she's got a point.
I would
maybe he's the one who's like, yeah, they would never expect that.
Yeah. Give him, like, kind of a minute to think it over, and then he's like, yeah, actually, that could work.
Hey, maybe it's worth a shot.
Get ready. We'll have to be swift.
The drop point's not far.
Yeah, I think it's, like, always cloudy there.
Now! I'll take the pilot.
I think I've mentioned before, like, in the reaction series, I actually really like that fight. I think it's really cool how they use their force powers to help each other.
Well, that one aspect of the fight is good, that they like use the Force to tag team, but the rest of it, they're all just like physically trying to fight him and hold him down. It's like, no,
Right.
use your trump card. Use the Force. Why are you so stupid?
Good point. Good point.
Going back to the dialogue at the beginning there, because again, they have Ahsoka in like military mode and she's commanding, the others like, no. I'd have her just say the "we have to be swift" line, or "we have to be fast" or whatever. And then Jinx is like, the drop ship isn't far. Or maybe Khalifa says that, I don't know. And then would we have Khalifa lead the charge instead of Ahsoka? Or would we have Khalifa just like right behind Ahsoka, or what?
Khalifa's mentality kind of going into this is like, I guess we'll just die. But at the same time, I mean, no one, like, she's not literally just going to commit suicide here.
Yeah, she's definitely gonna make an effort. Because if she's going to die, she is sure as heck going to try to take one of the Trandoshans with her.
Do we want her to go alone against the pilot? Or do we want Ahsoka to be the one, because we have set her up as more, like, as stronger than the others?
I would have Ahsoka face the pilot here. And Khalifa and Jinx tag team the other guy. And they use the Force.
So I think instead of having her be like, "Oh, take the pilot," it's like basically have it either they say that ahead of time, like, okay, you know, get ready, we'll have to be swift, you know, remember, you guys, like, once we draw the one of them out of the cockpit, you guys take him and then I'll take the pilot, or right, like they've already kind of worked this out. Or you don't show it, you just have it like, okay, you guys got this, and then she just hops it, like nothing needs to be said, they've already worked this out ahead of time. Or Khalifa's like, okay, go get the pilot.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest that. And in her tag team fight with Jinx against the Trandoshan, I would definitely show that she's angry and she's being very aggressive in this fight.
Maybe because like there's an aspect where it's kind of dumb that they're fighting him rather than they just push him off the ship.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Because like whenever I'm playing a video game and you can push the enemies off the, like, that's my goal. It's like, why would I sit and fight this guy? If I can just get him off of the edge, then we're golden.
Yeah, so I would like show from the moment they engage that their goal is clearly to kind of herd him to the edge of the ship so that they can push him off. So kind of like what Ahsoka had to do in like what we had her do in the previous episode. Like they have to combat his physical strength with their strength in the Force. So maybe when they try to push him back, then he digs in his claws in, he hangs on to the ship, and so that's making it harder for them. And then
they're doing that kind of tag team where one of them jumps and the other like uses the Force on them to help give their blow a little extra power. Yeah, and then they're trying to like keep out of his reach but lead him to the edge. Okay, and then Ahsoka goes down to face the pilot. It's an idiot.
Why didn't she lead with that?
Get out of there, come on!
But the prisoners, they'll die.
Hit the release, hurry!
Yeah, no, the prisoners you just released certainly survived that.
Yeah, no, that's so BS.
I guess we won't be escaping on that ship.
What was that?
A survivor. It could be one of the prisoners they were dropping off.
You don't say.
Oh, they have to go for the big reveal.
What is that?
It's a Wookiee.
I would switch some things around. So instead of the Trandoshan grabbing onto O-Mer, it's Jinx that they grab onto, and Khalifa kicks them off. And then Khalifa's the one to tell Ahsoka, like, you have to get out of there. And Ahsoka's like, no. And Khalifa's like, just hit the release so the prisoners can escape. We need to go. I think we also already agreed that we were not going to have this be Chewbacca. We're just gonna have it be a random Wookiee.
What if instead of like kicking the Trandoshan, Khalifa starts like choking him so that he'll let go?
Yeah, that makes more sense. Again, it's like you can't physically overpower these creatures.
Do we want to have the pilot shooting up the cockpit? Like, that just seems kind of dumb.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that, like, yeah, you'd think Ahsoka would be doing everything within her power to preserve the ship, because that's how they hope to escape.
Exactly.
Okay, so what if we have, like, she's sneaking up, she thinks, she's got the drop on him. Suddenly he spins around and, like, I wouldn't have him shoot any controls, but I mean, like, if he's just shooting toward, like, the back of the cockpit, like, at most he's gonna hit the door kind of thing. Maybe he shoots once, hits the controls, is like, dang it, right? Like, or whatever Star Wars equivalent. Maybe she, force pushes the gun away, and then he shoots the controls by accident, puts the gun down, pulls out a knife or something, and is like, come here, you, and lunges for her. She kind of hops around. Maybe when he kind of realizes that he can't catch her, then he starts destroying the ship, because he's like, okay, well, if I can't get you, then at least you can't get the ship.
So yeah, he starts destroying the ship. And then she freaks out, and then she force pushes him out the window.
Yeah, because I mean, at that point, if the window gets busted, it's not like they're gonna use this place to go anywhere. Like, they won't be able to leave the atmosphere anyways, because the controls are being destroyed.
Would we tone down the destruction of the ship so it's actually believable that the Wookiee survives?
I was actually thinking, if you have a bunch of the crash land in the water, right? Like, when she hit the release, they were over the beach. And then if it just kind of keeps spinning and most of it goes in the water, like, you still have enough on land, or like, it's still in shallow enough water that they will be able to return to it later. But it's not over top of where she released the prisoners. It's very clearly not over top of where she released the prisoners.
Okay. Maybe just like one of the containments hits the beach and throws up a bunch of sand, and that's why they can't see the Wookiee right away. And also,
because like pieces were falling off, right? Like, so you could still have big chunks falling off. You'd still have that, like, did anyone survive? But yeah, it's not like most of the bulk of it falls elsewhere, and so it's not like, how did anybody survive that?
It'd be really awkward to think, like, if the Wookiee wasn't actually the only prisoner on there, but the other ones all died.
You could make it darker by having that.
Oh yeah, so they could be, like, going through the wreckage afterward, and they're just, like, seeing body after body after body. Also, I'd have Khalifa be the one to say, well, we're not going anywhere in that ship.
Yeah, so everything kind of settles. Khalifa, sarcastically, is like, well, I guess we won't be escaping on that ship. And then Ahsoka's like, did anyone survive? And she goes running, like, starts checking. And because when she got dropped off, there was like maybe 10 people, right? So I wouldn't have it like a crowd of bodies, but she finds a couple bodies, but it's all dusty.
Her, like, going through, and she's just seeing one body after another, and she kind of stops, and like, you can see there's just, like, total despair on her face. She thinks she's responsible for their death. She kind of stops and leans against one of the containments, or one of the, like, bigger pieces of debris. And then you have the Wookiee reveal itself.
Yeah, like, I'd have Jinx and Khalifa kind of, like, catch up to her. And Jinx is like, you tried. And Khalifa's like, there's probably some stuff here we could use. And then you hear the Wookiee sound. And then, what was that? And then Ahsoka lights up and she's like, a survivor? The thing is, one of them says, it could be one of the prisoners they were dropping off. But I think the implication is that it could be one of the Trandoshans survived.
Oh, is that what they meant? Oh, okay. Then
it's not in maybe. I think that's the implication, right? Otherwise, they'd say it must be one of the prisoners they were dropping off. But by saying it could be, then I think the implication is that the other potential is a Trandoshan. So there's, an aspect of, they approach the sound, but cautiously.
maybe, after Ahsoka says, oh, maybe a survivor, then Khalifa kind of grabs her and is like, be careful, it could be one of the Trandoshans. And so, then they go cautiously and they check it out, and then it's a Wookiee.
Would we want to have one of them be like, what is that? Or would we just,
Yeah, I feel like that's done for the stupid,
reveal.
overdramatic reveal. So, I would get rid of that.
Yeah, I don't think I'd even have, anyone be like, whoa, a Wookiee. It's just they know what it is. The audience knows what it is. Look, a human being. It's just wow, you don't say. Thanks for spelling that out for me.
Mm-hmm.
Both of our men were killed, and there was only one prisoner, a Wookiee, and he's missing. Now the younglings are organized, bold, and they've got a Wookiee.
I think it's dumb that they only have one prisoner, and that they then spell out, oh, by the way, there's only one prisoner.
Yeah, no, that is really dumb. That whole thing just for one prisoner. I get it. It's a Wookiee. It's kind of a big deal, but I don't think it's that big a deal that you would just make one trip with that giant containment ship for one Wookiee.
No, maybe they spell it out because they're well, we don't want anyone to have died because of what the three of them did.
Oh. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Because in a way, the likelihood of anybody surviving, right, especially because, the Trandoshans just start shooting at them as soon as they release them. The likelihood of them surviving was low, but it's still, okay, you guys killed them instead of the Trandoshans. But I think to kind of have that, it's kind of dark, but I think we've already mentioned we would have a higher maturity rating on our version, and we're kind of leaning into darker aspects. And the bigger thing I think is that we show that it has an effect on our main characters. They recognize that this falls on their shoulders, or Ahsoka mainly, and they react to it.
Yeah.
So we're not just glossing over it or ignoring it. It's being addressed. I guess it kind of it shows that the Trandoshans are aware of kind of what happened. I feel we can't just cut that scene, but
Yeah, on the one hand, it's okay, the Trandoshans are aware of this, but on the other hand, it's just kind of repeating information.
I would just have him say the only body not recovered was a Wookiee's. Maybe say yet. They're expecting to find it, or if you want to have that, okay, now they've got a Wookiee, they would phrase it such that this guy's gone, we couldn't find the body. So yeah, I'm not gonna go into detail fixing that scene.
Your name is Chewbacca. He says his homeworld is very close.
That's great, but it might as well be Coruscant as far as I'm concerned. We've got no ship.
He thinks he can contact his home planet if we find a way to transmit a signal.
Right, and how would we do that?
Chewbacca says he can build a transmitter from the wreckage on the beach.
Well, we can't just sit here.
Fine. We'll do it the Wookiee way.
Do we want to have
I don't really...
Ahsoka translate, or do we want to have one of the others translate?
I would just have them all understand Wookiee.
The issue with that is then, like, either we'd have to subtitle, or we'd have to craft everyone else's dialogue so that it's not just like what they already do in TCW, where it's like, oh, Chewbacca is your name, okay, and your homeworld is very close, okay, you think we can find a way, like, you know, they just say
repeating
back
what
to
he
him
says. I mean, like, I don't think we'd have to go through the trouble of detailing that. What I would change is, because Jinx is kind of the one being doubtful in that scene, so I would give his lines to Khalifa, and then Omer's to Jinx. Other than that, I think it's good.
Chewbacca and I will go out to inspect the crash site. You two stay here and signal us if you see anything. It's a patrol.
Happy hunting.
Shouldn't that guy have already been in place?
You'd think.
Are you still feeling optimistic about making a transmitter out of this junk?
So, actually, I was thinking, like, going back to Weapons Factory, it was kind of Ahsoka who was like, oh, I'll just get my transmitter working, right? Like, it's been established that she has some
Technological
know-how, which you can infer she got from Anakin. So why not, like, when Chewbacca suggests building a transmitter, she's like, oh, I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, I could help you.
Okay. And then for
And
this
so they're
scene,
instead of
again, they have
cutting
Ahsoka
him down,
taking leadership and military mode, blah 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 blah, and ordering the others around. No, get rid of that. I would start the scene with the Wookiee. He says something to her, and then she answers, okay, we'll go in together. And then Khalifa's like, we'll signal you if we see anything.
more teamwork instead of Ahsoka just being in charge.
Do we want that sniper to already be in place or not? Because if he's already in place, that kinda screws it up.
What if it might be a little like, oh, that's convenient, but I mean, it's already convenient. The guy coming is to switch out with someone who's already there, and that guy's asleep.
Okay.
So, like, the one guy hops down and, like, you know, kicks the boot of the other guy, is like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, sorry. And it's like, have you, seen anything? Well, no, I haven't seen anything. And it's like, okay, well, you go. And then, yeah, one of them's like, oh, happy hunting, and then they leave. And yeah, Ahsoka and not Chewie think that they're gone. And that's the other thing, is that they're like, oh, we'll signal you if we see anything. And then they see something, and they don't signal. It's like, okay, so what was the signaling plan? Like, what? Why don't you signal? Because, yeah, they almost get shot because they have no idea there's somebody out there.
Yeah, what the heck, guys?
So maybe though, like, Jinx goes to signal, but Khalifa, like maybe he's gonna do like a yoo-hoo or something, like some sort of animal call, and she's like, no, we'll take care of this. But yeah, while they're in the wreckage looking around, they're working together. Ahsoka's like, oh, we could use this, and yeah, right, like that kind of thing. And because, like, again, she's casting doubt, just like, ugh, are you really gonna be able to do this? Like she's literally just there to undercut him. She's not helping at all.
Nope.
She's just standing there. She's not keeping an eye out. She's not, like, it's like, okay, why are you doing this with your character?
Yeah, exactly.
For the time.
We better get going. That patrol may come back. It looks clear. Come on. It's okay.
Time to join the Force, Jedi.
Sniper, get down!
Shouldn't her Force sense
like, I hate
some
this
sort of
so
effect
much
too?
because she sounds bored. She's like, oh, we better get back before that patrol maybe comes back. And like you pointed out, she's just standing there not helping. So Chewbacca's like putting parts in his things. Suddenly she's like, okay, you're done now. We're leaving. was like, oh, okay, you suck. And then, yeah, no Jedi senses. Like, what the heck?
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, like, you have Jinx and O-Mer waiting until, like, the absolute last second. Ahsoka almost gets shot. Like, everyone except Chewbacca is being stupid here.
And it's like, it seems like Chewie kind of senses that everything's not okay, but Ahsoka doesn't.
That.
So I would have it that, like, yeah, she says, you know, we better get going. That patrol may come back, but obviously, like, I'd have them be, like, whispering. Or not, like, whispering, but, like, you know, they're talking kind of quietly. Even though they don't think anyone's there. Like, it's just that kind of situation where you just kind of naturally, like, are like, okay, we're sneaking around, we gotta be cautious, right? And so you just kind of naturally, like, talk a little quieter. So then they start to go, she looks, she's like, I don't see Khalifa and Jinx, but they didn't signal or anything. Or maybe, like, she does, like, an animal call, right? Kind of like the, you know, like, everything's clear, right? Waiting to hear the signal back to make sure that everything's clear. But, like, Jinx and Khalifa are, like, right over top of this guy, so they know, like, oh, if they signal something, like, even if it's like a no, don't come, like, they're gonna catch his attention. You can see, like, they're kind of like, oh shit, like, we gotta move a little close, like, move faster, right? Because if they take 2 more steps, then they're in the line of fire, right? Like, because they're not in position yet, kind of thing. So then, yeah, the delays, the silence, it all makes sense. And I would have it that, like, Ahsoka, so she gave her call, she's not hearing anything back, and she's kind of like, oh shoot, maybe they're in trouble. So then she's going out, even though she didn't get the all clear signal, because she's worried about them. And so then, yeah, you still ultimately end up, you know, you get this tension, you get that he starts firing at them. Like, you get the same outcome, but with a setup that's not stupid.
I'll judge you well.
Wait, we should take him prisoner.
Fine. Chewbacca, let's take him.
Yeah, I love how she's just like, okay, I guess you're gonna murder him, until Jinx is like, let's not murder him. Oh, fine.
It's great. So yeah, like,
And in the last episode, she was all like, oh no, don't kill. I mean, like, Chewie's not a Jedi, so, like, she doesn't have that angle. But still, it was like, she's just standing there doing nothing while this guy's getting choked to death. Whereas in the last episode, she was like, no, you can't choke our enemy. Not if you're mad.
And again, like, it's so dumb that they all fall, like, a few feet, maybe. And then, like, O-Mer, it's understandable because the Trandoshan landed on top of him. Somewhat, anyway. But Jinx is like, why is Jinx like, oh, I can't get up. And then somehow O-Mer gets up first. Like, what?
Yeah.
That
And
makes
meanwhile,
no
like,
sense.
And it's like, I mean, like, they've had this with Ahsoka too, where it's like, when they want that tension or whatever, then she's like so slow to move. But other times, then she just up in the blink of an eye, even after, yeah, like, suffering some sort of injury or whatever, falling or hitting her head or anything like that. Like, it's just whatever the plot wants. Whatever they want for, you know, suspense or tension or anything. And it's like, you can get away with it to an extent, but they just do it way too much and to an, like, unbelievability. Because they have it split second one moment and then, oh, it takes them half a minute to collect themselves, like, recover in another moment.
Would we even have them tackle the Trandoshan? Because again, why are you physically attacking these creatures? That's so
I think
dumb.
What if they kind of do what they did against the other Trandoshan? Like, maybe Khalifa jumps down and Jinx, gives her a force push. Maybe she's like trying to like aim to crush his head or something. But yeah, maybe she pushed the gun away first. I would have it like if she hadn't pushed the gun, like Ahsoka would have gotten hit. And so like she force pushes, right? And then jumps down and Jinx like force pushes her, but like because they alerted the Trandoshan first, right? Like he rolls out of the way just in time or something. And then, maybe he swipes her feet out from under her. She falls down onto the sand. And then Jinx, maybe Jinx just jumps down and he does a thing where you like put your hands together to make like one big fist. And then he like tries to hit him on the head. You can, like, if they've been using the Force this much and you had like that Force sound effect in the background, like I think you could have moments where they physically attack the Trandoshans, but like you make it clear that they're using the Force to augment their strength in these moments.
And the other thing is, like, it should not have taken Chewbacca that long to get there. Like, we saw them run across the beach earlier, and it took them, like, a few seconds flat. Was Chewbacca just casually strolling?
Well, there's that, like, oh yeah, I mean, like, once they can see that the gun is no longer a threat, then yeah, it should be really quick. So Jinx jumps down, like he hits the guy on the head. Maybe that makes them both fall down to like where Khalifa is. Maybe, he lands on top of Jinx and that crushes Jinx a little, like about as badly as O-Mer there was injured.
Yeah, it definitely would knock the wind out of him for sure.
Mm-hmm. And then the Trandoshan gets up, and I would have him go faster, right? Instead of like gets up, stands there, I'm going to gut you, then pulls out his knife and starts coming over. Like instead of like having that huge long thing, I would make it happen faster. Like he rolls off of him, whips out his knife, I'll gut you, and then he's jumping for him, and then Chewie catches him.
Yeah.
And Ahsoka's right there behind him.
I think it makes more sense for Ahsoka to be the one who's like, hey, we should take him prisoner. And then Khalifa's the one who's like, fine.
I love that. They've been showing us these birds literally every single time we come back to this cape.
I know. I like it, but it's also like, why?
Why do we keep getting shown this?
Why are the birds important?
Is this just to take up time?
Yep, killing time. That's the creator's favorite pastime.
How's it looking, Chewbacca? Will it work?
Well, something's working.
We've got a prisoner. We should be using him to our advantage while we have a chance.
I thought the prisoner was the backup plan.
We just can't sit here any longer.
We should wait. Let's say we do it your way. What's the plan?
We can use the prisoner to trick the enemy into flying one of their pods down to us. Then we hijack the pod, fly up to their base, and take them by surprise.
Ahsoka, you got us to believe in ourselves again. And, well, I believe Jinx's plan will work.
Look, do what you want. But O-Mer and I are leaving with the prisoner in the morning.
We have to act while they have the advantage in the morning.
That's funny. That's funny, okay. Oh, gotta love the dialogue in this show. Again, I would give most of Jinx's lines to Khalifa, and then some of Ahsoka's lines to Jinx. I would have her keep the "we should wait."
Sorry, let me read it over. So, I'd have them working on the transmitter together. So instead of being like, "Oh, how's it looking? Will it work?" She's like, "Okay, let's try again."
Maybe she's a little down and out that it's not working.
So instead of like what I was like, "Okay, let's try this again," it's more like, "Okay, let's try this again," and hit the button, and then Jinx is like, well, something's working, and then it bzzz, right? And Khalifa comes up, we've got a prisoner. We should be using him to take to our advantage while we have a chance. I've never liked I thought the prisoner was the backup plan. Because again, it's condescending, and it's like, no, that wasn't my plan. So that's plan B.
So would we cut that?
Well, because okay, so in this version, it was Ahsoka's suggestion to take him prisoner rather than kill him. But then, yeah, it's kind of weird that she's not doing anything with him. So then it comes off like, oh, I'm just keeping him alive because, which doesn't quite make sense. Why not, instead of Khalifa being like, oh, we've got a prisoner, we should use the prisoner, she's like, why are we sitting here with a Trandoshan? Or like something like that. Like basically it's like, are we gonna do something with this prisoner, or can I kill him? Right? Like, she wouldn't say that, but like that would kind of like, why is he here? Why did you keep him alive? Like, why did you bring him back to our hideout?
Yeah.
And then maybe Ahsoka's the one who's like, we can use him. And Khalifa's like, how? How are we going to use it? You've been working on that thing for hours. If you wanted to use him, why haven't we been doing that? And she's like, well, that was my backup plan. So we could have the backup plan thing in there.
Yeah, it does make sense, because going on the offensive is obviously the more drastic plan. And she's been trying so hard in this arc to like keep people alive and failing and failing and failing and failing. So
yeah,
she would go with the safer option.
Yeah, maybe we have that, like, Khalifa's like, well, it's clear that plan's not working. She's like, but this is the safer plan, right? She gets mad. She's like, I am trying to like exhaust the better option first. And then Khalifa's like, well, I'm not gonna sit here. I'm not gonna just sit here any longer. Do we want to have Jinx being like, well, maybe we should wait a little longer? Or not, like,
Yeah, I would, because we
Ahsoka
have been kind of having Jinx be a bit of the voice of reason, so yeah.
But at the same time, if
him
this has been going on for hours, then it would also kind of make sense for him to be like, maybe Khalifa's got a point. We can't keep this guy indefinitely. As soon as the sun rises, the Trandoshans are gonna like find it. I would have them have the Trandoshan muzzled, by the way, given how like they're basically their own alarm system. So I would have it that he's muzzled.
Yeah, that's a good point. He could have been like signaling.
As soon as any Trandoshans get close, he could just be like, wah, wah. Maybe have him kind of point out, like, the sun is going to be rising soon. If we're going to do something with the prisoner, we need to act now.
Obviously, get rid of the stupid, oh, you got us to believe in ourselves again, because it's just more Ahsoka worship. Oh, Savior Ahsoka. No, don't need that. Thank you very much, but no thank you.
Should we have it that like Ahsoka kind of has an idea in mind for how she would use the prisoner, or like she hasn't like thought about it yet, but she's like, I'm sure we could do something, right? Because like there's whole, oh, let's say we do it your way. What's the plan? Obviously, I wouldn't want that the way it is, but like, are we gonna have it that it's Khalifa's plan to use the prisoner, trick the enemy into flying one of their pods toward us? Hijack the pod, fly up to their base, take him by surprise. Because it's basically the attack the dropship again, right? Like,
yeah,
it's another suicide mission.
Yeah, have it be Khalifa's plan.
Yeah, so Jinx agrees with Khalifa, and yeah, maybe Ahsoka does ask, like, well, what are you going to do? Do we want it to be like oh, we will do this, or do we want it to be like, I don't know, like, why not that?
Maybe she's kind of silent for a moment, so you can see she's kind of thinking it over, and then she's like, well, we can do this.
Our hearts are in the right place. I can't let them go alone. We're not going to be able to do this without you. We need your help. Who knows? Maybe our luck's just about to change.
So, I mean, on the one hand, at least that conversation between the two of them isn't like, oh, I'm going to repeat to you what you just said. You have to kind of infer what Chewie's saying. But the manipulation is sickening.
And the condescension. Oh, their hearts are in the right place. These little fools that need looking after.
She's condescending toward the others, and she's manipulating, guilt-tripping Chewbacca. Like, because she's like, oh, I can't let them go alone. But she's looking at him like, okay, now you offer to come with us.
Yeah,
and then he doesn't. She's like,
you.
Well, we can't do this without you. Like, you're not gonna let us, like, go and die, are you? We need your help. Like, she's not asking him, like, hey, will you help us? She's like, you have to come. Because I'm going to go. But, like, we can't do it without you, so you have to come.
This character's disgusting. Like, you call this a role model? Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh, not even close. Sorry.
And then, yeah, obviously he says, like, we'd have to be lucky to, like, or we've had rotten luck so far or something. And then she's like, who knows? Maybe our luck's about to change. Which is, like, yeah, supposed to make her seem all, like, optimistic and hopeful. But she's just being manipulative and, like, dismissing his concerns. And I hate Ahsoka as she is so much.
So Khalifa and Jinx walk out. And then Ahsoka kind of drops into a sitting position. You can see like she's frustrated and upset. She's got her head in her hands, and she's like to Chewbacca, or not Chewbacca. She's like, I can't let them go alone. So it's kind of like resigned, and I would have her kind of tell not Chewbacca to like keep going. And then maybe he's like, no, I can't let you guys go alone either. So if you guys are doing this, I'm coming.
Because he's the only one who can physically match a Trandoshan. Because like right now, it's kind of like, okay, if I don't go with them, they're going to die. And I can't just let them go to their deaths. But if I go with them, I'm going to die. But if he comes with us, we might have a chance.
Well,
but if he comes with us,
it's not like
then
he entirely tips the scales all on his own. Yeah,
and now they're gonna go up to their base.
Fortress. It doesn't matter if they got a Wookiee. That's why that rescue was necessary, because they were not going to win with the four of them.
Maybe she says that. It's like, okay, I can't let them go alone, but you need to finish this transmitter. Like, we might have a chance if you can reach someone in time. So maybe Chewie doesn't come with them at first.
All right, we better get started.
You will listen to me.
No, I won't.
You will listen to me.
I will listen to you.
You were our captive, but now you've escaped. You need to call a speeder to pick you up.
Spock, where have you been? I need a speeder to pick me up.
That part of the mind trick?
Yeah, I was gonna say, that seems a bit out of the ordinary for a mind trick.
I have an idea, because they don't need him for the mind trick. But that moment there where he punches out the guy, what if that's when we have him show up? So what if he stays behind? Though the thing is, did they, I don't know. Because it's like, well then how did they get him to the beach if they don't have Chewbacca?
Actually, why don't they just mind trick him to cooperate? If they can mind trick him to call himself a lift, why can't they just mind trick him to walk down to the beach with them?
So how about when they're like, okay, we're leaving now. Then yeah, they walk over and you have Khalifa do, you're coming with us. And I'm not going anywhere with you. You're coming with us. And, oh, I'm coming with you. And then he gets up and starts walking away. And then we have the scene between Ahsoka and Chewie. Ahsoka tells him, no, stay behind. You gotta get this transmitter done. If they can get here in time, maybe we won't even have to go through this. So then she goes with the others, and then we have that moment at the beach, and he's already kind of mind controlled. So then she just you've escaped, call a speeder, blah blah blah. The speeder comes, they attack it, And then, yeah, there's that moment where it's like, oh, crap, like we were only this far and we're not succeeding. And then Chewie comes and punches the guy, and he's like, okay, I'm here.
Regarding the mind trick, I like the idea of maybe having Khalifa and Jinx have to kind of concentrate together in order to mind trick the Trandoshan, because they're both younglings. So it would be believable that their skills are not very advanced, and Trandoshans don't really strike me as weak-minded. So maybe like kind of similar to what Mace and Obi-Wan and Anakin did with Bane back in season 2.
Okay.
That kind of happens here, but Jinx and Khalifa are concentrating together to do the mind trick.
And I would take out that moment where he's like waiting for the thing and looks back and is like, yep, don't worry, I'm still on board with your plan, guys. Like,
yeah.
He's supposed to be thinking, oh, I've escaped, right? So I would just kind of have him standing there like kind of in a daze. Like,
yeah.
You can tell he's not quite all there, but like he's just waiting for the thing. And then, yeah.
And again, I'd get rid of the BS moment where Ahsoka kicks a Trandoshan off of her somehow.
Not to mention, it's clear showboating. Which, of course, she's in charge again. Well, still, I should say. She's still in charge. And then, yeah she
they
does
do
those,
that
like,
throughout this whole episode, where Ahsoka's like, yep, I'm in charge. You are my faithful soldiers for me to command.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no.
Humility.
Yeah, so much humility. Not. Absolutely not.
I don't get it. Why do they even have Khalifa, like, say that line of, oh, there's, if you are really a Padawan, you know there's wisdom and experience, which is true.
Yeah.
But then they have Ahsoka act completely, that's not how she acts at all. So it's like, why did they have Khalifa say that? If they were just gonna have Ahsoka act completely contrary to that, but then she's right. Why are you trying to paint Khalifa as wrong when she's right?
They're just not willing to carry through with these lessons.
Oh, yeah, it's never made clear when they are or are not augmenting with the Force. But if in our version it was clearer.
Add in that sound effect
Force
that they
sound
use when the characters use the Force.
I don't know why they don't.
Yeah, exactly. I guess it kind of comes back to the problem I raised in the previous episode, where it basically would come down to, like, they're constantly using that sound effect throughout these fights, and they probably didn't want to do that. So, but then it's like, okay, guys,
they
why didn't you
never
just
do
write
it.
the fights to be better?
Even when it's like just a one-off kind of moment, they still don't do it.
It's dumb. No point
Unless
in trying
it's
to find logic
a
in TCW.
blatant use of the Force, they never have the sound effect. So we're just supposed to believe that, like,
Yeah, well, you're supposed to headcanon everything. That's what the creators want you to do, because they're too lazy to actually put in the work themselves.
and it's like, it's such a, like, if it was being used a lot in a fight, I don't think I would, like, particularly notice it and get, like, annoyed by it, unless they weren't doing a good job with the sound mixing. Like, I think you could have it coming in and out without it, like, getting noticeable. But maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just because I haven't heard it, so then I can't judge that. Yeah, because I do like this moment with Chewie, and I think, yeah, having him show up that way when we're kind of not expecting it would kind of add to it. Because here it's kind of like, well, what took him so long? And then I'd probably have Ahsoka, like, react. Like, she's so relieved that he came.
Yeah.
But she's maybe she's also like, but what about the transmitter? And then he just kind of like, you know, I'm not going to do a Wookiee impression. I can't do a Wookiee impression, apparently.
It's kind of like a gargling or something.
I've done it without intending to do it. Like, I swear I was doing it earlier today. I'm like, oh, that kind of sounds like a Wookiee impression. But now that I'm thinking about it, I can't do it. So, like my droid impression, I'm never doing it again. Okay. Anyways, he makes his Wookiee noise. And do we like want to leave it vague that she just like smiles and nods? Because I mean, in the next scene here, it shows us that the transmitter is working right there.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, we can just have her smile and nod, and then it would be Jinx pulls up, you know, want to lift, hops aboard, then we see the transmitters working, and then go here.
Kill them! I want their skins!
Hey, let's give him a lift.
I like that. Teamwork.
Mm-hmm. So rare.
I know.
Technically, she still has an injury on her back. Like, it has been
treated. But
it has been treated, but it wouldn't be healed.
Yeah.
So, technically, it would have been affecting her. I mean, yeah, since the beginning of this episode. Would we want to kind of work it in? That, like, there's moments where it kind of acts up and it's detrimental to her? Or do we want to just kind of like, oh, it's been treated magically okay now?
I wouldn't draw too much attention to it. I would have it be more of a background thing, like a couple times in, like once or twice throughout the fight, maybe you see her kind of wince, or her movement is a little impaired.
And we would retroactively do that to the other fights they've already had. I think I would show it the most kind of in when they attack the drop ship. That's the fight that she kind of struggles the most. And then every fight after that, we kind of progressively lessen it. Like we still show, like you said, like there's a moment here or there where like she winces or kind of like, you know.
When she's fighting Garnak, we could have Garnak maybe reopen the wound.
Ooh.
Anyway, I'd have Khalifa be the one to take control of the hoverpod and start like shooting at the Trandoshans.
I like that. You know, we both like that moment with Ahsoka and Jinx. I'd have like again more moments like that, and
it's also just like a fun, quippy line, like, "Hey, let's give him a lift."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's a great moment. I like it. I wish TCW had more great moments.
Mm-hmm.
Valiant effort, little younglings. Especially you, Togruta.
Make it quick, General. We're charging by the minute. And if my ship gets damaged, it'll cost you extra.
Do the Wookiees not have their own ships?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, even though I do like seeing the Zabrak bounty hunter again, she's a cool character, it's kind of like, okay, what are you doing here? Yeah, I would just have it be the Wookiees.
Yeah, no, oh, especially you, Togruta, what a valiant effort. It's like, why are you picking her out, bro? Like, you don't know that she's been the leader of all this?
Yeah, exactly.
So they give him omniscience so that they can heap more praise on her. It's like, guys, when you go out of your way to just like show favor on this character, you just make her more of a Mary Sue.
Exactly.
I do like having him taunt them there, though. And then, where do we want Ahsoka to get angry?
I think as soon as she sees him, I would have her glare. Because he is the one who killed O-Mer.
Yeah. So when he first comes out and he's like, kill them, I want their skins. Then yeah, you get a close-up shot of Ahsoka like glaring, and then
maybe not at that moment because like they're kind of in the thick of things there, so she doesn't really have a moment to stop and kind of soak in her feelings, so to speak. But when he starts speaking after they've been subdued, I definitely keep the glare in there, but have it a bit sooner.
I mean, I think it would work, like, just to have a quick reaction from her, like, when he comes out. Like, yeah, she doesn't have to, like, stop and glare at him. But, like, if you just, do, like, a, because they have to, like, take cover at one point. Maybe she kind of, like, looks at him as he's, like, directing people, and she gives him a quick glare, and then she's back to fighting. And then, when he starts taunting them, her anger deepens. Too bad he couldn't go to the guy that's, like, 5 feet over and use that one instead.
Well, they'd probably shoot out that one too if he went for it.
I mean, I guess so.
Can you get me up there?
Now, I had a conversation in our comments section a while ago, because somebody was criticizing my criticism of Ahsoka going after Garnak here. And so we had quite the conversation. But one of the things I said was, like, I would have loved to see her and the Wookiee general kind of do this together, and then it ended up being the Wookiee general who kills the Trandoshan. I don't remember what video the comments were under, so
I think
otherwise
I've had
I'd have looked
one or two conversations about this scene as well, because, like, there is absolutely no justification for what Ahsoka is doing here. She's absolutely being vengeful, going out of her way to go pick a fight with Garnak. But no, like, fans will bend over backwards to try to justify it. Like, oh, well, this horrible hunting stuff would have gone on if she hadn't gone and, picked a fight with him. Which makes no sense, because she really just wanted to wag her finger in his face, so to speak, like, you're a bad guy, your son died because of you. And then when he reached for his gun, she went, like, way overboard and force pushed him so hard that he went through a set of thick doors and over the railing and splat onto the platform below. But no, like, fans will bend over backwards to justify this. It's nonsense. She is absolutely being vengeful, but the show paints her as in the right, as always.
Yup.
And, like, in contrast, what we're doing here, because I'm sure we'll get, like, at least one person who's like, oh, but you're having her be vengeful. Yes, it's a very intentional choice, and we're not going to make her look good for it.
Okay, here. Ahsoka is a skinny teenager who has been hungry, stressed, and ill-rested for at least 3 days. To go after Garnak alone should mean certain defeat for her. Thus, the proper approach to the situation is that she alerts the Wookiee general to Garnak's retreat, and after they have secured the lower decks, and thus her friends are safe, which could take no time at all if the fight is choreographed right, she accompanies the general to apprehend Garnak before he can escape. She offers that he can surrender before the fight begins, but Garnak refuses. The kill could be given to the Wookiee general, who is in better condition and bound by no sacred moral code. He overpowers Garnak during the fight between the three of them.
Yeah, that would have been, like, infinitely better.
Because that's part of it, is that, like, she's leaving while the fight is still ongoing down below. Like, her friends are still technically in danger. And, like, we don't really know how many Trandoshans are on the fortress here, and there's only, like, a couple, like, maybe 3 or so Wookiees who came. So then it's like, well, maybe they just want to grab you guys and run, but you're going further into the fortress, and, like, they have to just hold everybody off while you go chase down the leader. Like, what are you doing? Get out of there. Like, not just for your own sake, but for everybody else's. How about when they're all fighting and he's at the guns and he's shooting, if we have him kind of repeat a few lines that he said while chasing her in the woods, right? There's kind of like, I'm gonna kill you, and, you know, like, that kind of thing, right? And then you can see that's triggering her. She's thinking back to O-Mer's death, and so it's like,
Maybe there's even like a split-second flashback of O-Mer getting shot.
Yeah, getting shot, dying, that kind of thing, right? Then, yeah, the Wookiees shoot out his gun, and so he retreats. And then, yes, she turns to not Chewbacca, and she's like, "Get me up there!" Like, you can tell she's angry. She's going after this guy. Like, yeah, maybe like she's like, "Oh, get me up there," and then Chewie kind of responds. Maybe he kind of like points to the ship, like, "No, we gotta go." And she's like, "No, I'm not letting him get away." And then Chewie's like, "Oh, okay, well, not Chewie," and gives her the boost that she needs. And that's the room that has all those trophies hanging in it, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, we kind of saw
so
some of them
I would have it that like she's looking around for him, but then she sees those and like her fists clench and she just starts stalking more into the room. Like she's sickened, she's angry, she's Is it just me, or were there some like Wookiees just like standing in the background not doing anything while Chewbacca was getting crushed? So that's why O-Mer had to help him?
Yeah, I think there was.
Yeah, no, they are just like, they're taking cover sort of, but they're also just not doing anything. You can hear blaster shots still going, but yeah, they're not like shooting at anybody, they're just sitting there.
What the heck?
What are you doing, guys? I do like this. It's kind of funny. See, that doesn't work because, again, there's no sound effect to show that she's using the Force. Like, so we're supposed to think, based on what they're actually giving us, that she's just strong enough to hold off a Trandoshan.
Which is...
And it's like, she's as skinny as a stick. Like, literally, his arm is, like, as thick as her abdomen, basically.
Pretty near.
But she's able to hold him off?
Yeah, no.
But I think, yeah, if you have a sound effect in there, then it's clear, okay, she's using the Force. And if you still have that look of strain, that kind of like, you see how hard it is to do it, even with using the Force.
I would rather, like, she recovers, like, just soon enough that she's able to dodge.
Like you said, we do it your way. She just kind of barely gets out of it. And it's in this moment where he's got his hands around her neck. You see something in her just kind of like snap. And suddenly, she overpowers him.
Oh, I just had a really cool idea. You know how in Revenge of the Sith, when Anakin and Obi-Wan are fighting, and they both go to use the Force at the same time? So it's like literally like building between their hands, and then it just sends them both flying like a shockwave. What if while he's choking her, she slips her arms up in between his, and she does that with herself? She starts building the Force in between her own hands, and then it slams her arms outward hard enough to either like loosen his grip or just get him off of her neck completely.
But if she's not struggling against him, wouldn't she start losing consciousness and thus kind of lose the Force? Because it takes a while for that to build up in the movie.
It takes a couple seconds, like maybe 5 seconds tops.
Right,
from
just
what
enough
I
time
remember.
to get some tension.
Yeah, and then, she's...
But does it work that way, that you can do it with yourself?
I don't see why you
It's a
would
cool
be
idea,
able to. Like, if you can do it with someone else, why can't you do it with yourself?
Because there's not as much power. Like, putting your own Force energy into your own Force energy, it would be like half the energy from each hand rather than double what you're typically capable of.
She's not like sending him flying or anything. She's just trying to loosen his grip. Potentially, after he lets her go, then she drops to the floor. She's trying to catch her breath, but then he's on her again, and that's when he reopens the wound on her back.
Because he was throwing her actually on her back earlier. And when he, like, before he tried to stab her in the face,
Yeah.
I would have her, like, crying out in pain every time he slammed her down like that. I feel like we could have, like, she starts using the dark side to get out of the knife situation, like, especially after, like, he's been, you know, hurting her so much. Kind of makes sense for it to be that moment. And then, because it is a cool move, I do like the idea, then he does end up grabbing her by the throat. She uses the move to break his grip and kind of, you know, send them flying apart a little bit. But then, yeah, she slams into something. It's catching her breath. He catches up to her, slashes her back. Like, he kind of realizes that that's a weak spot for her, right? So then he intentionally targets it.
Yeah.
Do we want to just skip the whole conversation between them?
I kind of like the idea of keeping... Well, firstly, maybe after he reopens the wound on her back, she's yelling, and you can hear in her voice that she's drawing on this, like, anger and pain, and she whips around, and she just throws everything she's got at him with the force, pins him against, like, the wall, and just holds him there, and he's, like, struggling, and you can see in her face she's just livid. And then maybe that's when they have a bit of an exchange.
How well would he be able to talk, though?
You'd, like, be able to tell that he's kind of straining to speak, because if you have that much force, like, pressing down on you, then yeah, like, your chest is kind of compressed. You're gonna be, like, kind of struggling to get out the words. So yeah, she throws him up against the first wall. He's like, "You killed my son!" And what I was saying was, I kind of do like the idea of more or less keeping what she says here, like, kind of throwing the blame back in his face, just to add insult to injury. Like, no, you only have yourself to blame for that.
Yeah, because he says, "You murdered my son, and you need to pay for what you did." And then she says, "Your son died because of your own actions, not mine."
Like, yeah, clearly in this moment, she's just like, she's preaching at him, basically. So definitely in our version, it would not be so eloquent, I guess. And yeah, she's obviously, like, seething.
I think I would want her to make mention of all the other lives that have been taken because of his hunt. What if she throws him, because there's all those trophies. So she throws him into the trophies, and, like, the trophies kind of, like, fall down around him, and she's like, "This is for them, and this is for them." And then the very last name she says is, "This is for O-Mer," and that's when she throws him out the door.
An idea I had in my head, because we kind of Easter egged, so to speak, her dark side self from the Mortis arc that we incorporated into the Mortis arc. So I kind of liked the idea of, like, she's going deeper into her anger, she's going deeper into the dark side, and then she catches sight of her reflection, and it's her dark side self.
Ew.
And it's just like this split second, briefest thing, but it stops her.
So do we want to have her kill Garnak, or do we want to have her stop as she kind of realizes what she's doing?
Yeah, this is one of the things I was going back and forth on, either having her kill him or not, like having her stop just before she does kill him. The problem is we have to have him die either way, I think.
We could have it that the Wookiees come, right? Like, so she's throwing him against the wall, you know, starts with O-Mer, this is for them, and then, yeah, she's kind of, like, crushing him against one of the walls, and then, like you said, she sees her reflection and realizes kind of what's happening, and so she lets him go, and she kind of stumbles back, looks at the reflection again, and it's back to normal. And then he's kind of, like, catching his breath, and he sees his gun, and she, like, just as she's, like, about to try to react, then the doors burst open, the Wookiees come in, he's got his gun, but you know, the Wookiees are right there, so he starts trying to fire at them. They fire back and kill him. And then yeah, she kind of like, that scene ends on a shot of her and she's just kind of like, oh boy. Well, let's watch this version.
You're beaten.
You murdered my son. And you need to pay for what you did.
Your son died because of your own actions, not mine.
And she says that so darkly. Like the
Yeah.
first part's okay, but then she's like, not mine. It's like, okay.
Don't!
Yeah, no, like, she did not need to force push him that hard.
No. And then she's like glaring down at him.
Yeah.
It's like,
You cannot tell me this is not vengeful behavior. It absolutely is. She's absolutely in the wrong, but the show refuses to admit it.
well, because they think they've set this up as, oh, it was self-defense. She told him, oh, don't grab for your gun. But he did, and so she is defending herself.
Yeah, why couldn't you just, like, force pull the gun away, honey?
Or force push the gun away, or anything other than killing him. Or even just like change her facial expression here to like, oh dang, I killed him. Or something, right? Instead of like, well, at least it's good he's dead.
This is not a role model, folks.
I love after all that, and I believe I mentioned this in the Mary Sue video as well, that like, she's a little dusty, otherwise she's fine.
It's good to see you safe, little Ahsoka.
I am so sorry.
For what?
For letting you go. For letting you get taken. It was my fault.
It wasn't your fault.
I should have paid more attention. I should have tried harder.
You already did everything you could when I was out there, alone.
You were not alone.
All I had was your training. And because of you, I did survive. And not only that, I was able to lead others to survive as well.
Except for Khalifa, who you got killed because you were like aggressive and completely ignoring the wisdom of their experience and didn't care about their safety because you just wanted to get out of there because I won't run and hide. Also, like, the only reason anybody survived was because Chewie built the transmitter and was able to contact his homeworld. But she's taking all the credit for everybody surviving.
Where's the humility?
Thank you, Master.
It's like, and it's supposed to be this nice moment, and I wish it could be a nice moment. But yeah, there's been nothing about his training or anything like that. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh, it was because of your training. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's literally just throwaway lip service. And the fact that they have Anakin just be stupid so that she can impart her sagely wisdom to him. Like, oh, I shouldn't have let you get taken. I should have tried harder. What are you on about, bro? Like, I guess you can say it's suitable for his character, like it's in character for him, but it's just dumb. And again, it's only done so that Ahsoka can have the high ground here.
Yeah, so that she can preach, so that he can be a good student to her. But yeah, I was gonna say, like, if he was in the same squad as her or something, then his lines would make a little more sense. But he was nowhere near her. What was he thinking? Like, oh, I should have been babysitting her the whole time.
Yeah, is that supposed to be like a mirror shot of the end of Holocron Heist where Anakin and Ahsoka are walking away together and Yoda's just staring at them for reasons? What are we supposed to take away from that? My guess at what they're trying to impart here is like, oh, you know, Anakin and Ahsoka are just like the best Master Padawan duo.
I remember, oh, maybe it was the featurette for this arc where I remember Filoni kind of talking about how, like, at the end Ahsoka and Anakin are walking away in a very balanced kind of...
This is a big moment. Ahsoka has been on her own. Anakin has been forced to let go. The scene where they reunite is important and it cannot be short.
Ahsoka.
This is the moment for Ahsoka. This is the moment where she says, it's because of you and your training that I survived, Master. Even though you weren't there. You're a part of me. You can let go of that attachment.
And because of you, I did survive.
These are ideas that Anakin struggles with. His mother, Padme, Obi-Wan. People that he cares about, even R2. Yoda, in the Clone Wars movie, is trying to teach Anakin, through giving him a Padawan, to let go of his attachments. And Yoda knows there will come a point in time where Anakin will have to let go of that attachment, where he'll be faced with a situation where Ahsoka will be on her own, as Anakin's mother was on her own. And that there won't be anything Anakin can do to stop what's going to happen to Ahsoka or not. This is that moment. It's taken 3 seasons, but this episode arc is that moment where Anakin comes face to face with his worst fear, Ahsoka, in a situation there's nothing he can do.
Ahsoka, I'm so sorry.
This is her moment to say thank you. This is completely different than where she started in the movie. And she respectfully bows. I mean, when have you ever seen Anakin and Ahsoka really respectfully bow to each other?
Never.
They walk.
It took 3 seasons? And you're admitting that, like, we've never seen this before? Oh, but they have such a great relationship.
Oh, for sure.
With a different relationship than they had before. Anakin is much more settled. And you see Yoda, and he just silently watches this. And in a rare moment, we see Yoda smile because he feels that things, for once, are moving as he would have hoped.
Must be somewhere else. I know I read or watched an interview with him where he was saying, oh, you know, they're walking off in a very balanced way.
You know, you see Yoda watching the two of them walking off, and they're very much walking off in a very balanced way, that Anakin had to deal with the loss of Ahsoka and not being able to do anything about it, and then come to the conclusion that the reason that she survived was because of the way that he had taught her, and that would stick with her for the rest of her life, hopefully.
But yes, let's finish this. Okay.
We had a little exchange we kind of wanted to happen. So Barriss.
Oh, right.
Barriss runs up and gives Ahsoka a hug, and you can really see like just how happy they are to see each other, especially Ahsoka on Ahsoka's part. And then, would we want them to kind of have an exchange or just kind of smile at each other? And then Barriss goes to Khalifa and starts talking to Khalifa, and that's kind of setting up a friendship that we will have between the two of them in future.
Yeah, I'd like that. We wouldn't have to necessarily like show their conversation. We just show Barriss going up to Khalifa and starting to talk to her, and then. Yeah, Anakin comes and finds Ahsoka.
Would we still want to include Plo Koon just kind of popping in, being like, hey, good to see you doing okay? I find it weird that Obi-Wan doesn't show up in this arc at all.
Yeah. Well, you suggested at the end of the last episode that we show both Obi-Wan and Plo Koon kind of trying to help. So I think, yeah, it would make sense to have them show up here again. And both of them just kind of be like, hey, glad to see you're okay.
And then what would we want the exchange between Anakin and Ahsoka to be instead? Because I was kind of thinking of kind of bringing back the point she learned from the Citadel arc, where you kind of have to maintain your honor in war, and that's definitely something she didn't do when she went dark side. So maybe she kind of makes a comment like, I saw in myself what it's like to abandon my honor and see like the consequences of that. Or maybe not like the consequences, but like what that could mean for me if I kept going down that path.
Okay, but what would we have Anakin say in response to that? Would we want to have him kind of be like, you did what you needed to do to survive? And then she's kind of like, she's not sure she really like is comfortable with that answer, right? Because we want to start creating a separation between the two of them.
This is
maybe
definitely a turning point for Ahsoka. We kind of want her to like going forward kind of be struggling with balancing honor but also like pushing herself harder to help people. So she wants to be like the perfect Jedi. That's what she's going to push herself toward from here on out.
Yeah, having her kind of realize here that Anakin's, like, he's not the best teacher. He can't lead her down that path. She has to find it for herself. It would work better to kind of like show that she's like not comfortable with that response from him, but she's not like she's not ready to start like assertively pushing against his ideology yet. So she's just kind of looks down and she's like, "Oh, I suppose you're right."
Oh, I just had a really cool idea. What if we do like kind of as foreshadowing, we have a mirror scene of Ahsoka walking away from Anakin like she does at the end of season 5.
She's like, I need to go see the healers. And then yeah, she walks away from him and maybe kind of like looks back at him as he kind of like turns away to talk to somebody else, and she's just there's a conflicted look on her face, and then she turns and keeps going.
Because we're kind of doing kind of a bit of what we did at the end of season 1, where we're kind of ending on a bit of a cliffhanger for her character. We're creating some suspense there. So originally in season 1, we had it that she loses her confidence, but here we're setting up this strain between her and Anakin that's going to carry forward into the next 2 seasons.
I feel like having her just immediately say to him, "Oh, well, you know, I kind of gave in to the dark side."
Have her keep it vague, like she kind of...
Yeah, but still, it seems a bit odd for that to be the first thing out of her mouth.
Well, obviously, Anakin would come over, he's like, "Hey, I'm so glad you're safe."
Maybe he, instead of like apologizing that she got lost, maybe he's apologizing that he couldn't find her.
Okay.
Right? Like, "I'm so sorry, I tried to find you, like, did everything I could." I would maybe just have her kind of be like, you know, I'm sure you did. Or like, "Thank you." Because there's an aspect where like, yeah, Khalifa and the others were kind of like, no one's looking for us, right? And so hearing from Anakin, like, "I was looking for you." Because especially, yeah, the Jedi, usually their response is like, "Ah, well, that sucks. Moving on."
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, she would thank him for in some way. With words, some words. Maybe he asks her, you know, there's something about her tone, like he can tell she's kind of like, she wants to tell him something, but she's not sure about it. So maybe he kind of like pulls her gently a little further away from everybody else, and he's like, "Is there something you want to tell me?" Or like, you know, are you all right? Or whatever. Or, "I can sense there's something on your mind," that kind of thing. And then, yeah, she says the line you suggested. And then, yeah, he's like, "Oh, well, you did what you had to do." And she's like, "Okay. Bye." That would be the end of that episode, I suppose. So that was season 3, episode 22, Wookiee Hunt. We had the ordeal of pushing Ahsoka to the point where she embraces the dark side. If you enjoyed, be sure to drop a like, share with your friends, and consider subscribing so you don't miss future installments. As always, comment below letting us know what you think of our rewrites and what you would do differently. We'd also appreciate any support you are willing and able to offer via Super Thanks or on Patreon, where we have plenty of exclusive content waiting for you. Next up, we'll be tackling Season 4, Episode 1, Water War, so be sure to join us for that. I should, like, make a compilation of all the quotes that we used.
That would be fun, actually.
People have done that with the official series quotes.
Oh yeah.
Why can't I do it?
There you go.
And then that, as we continue, hopefully we won't repeat any quotes.
Hopefully.
And I did it again. Okay.
What have you done?
What
have you done? Ah!
It's nap time. okay? For everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone
we're
should
both
be napping right now.
sleepy today.
I think we're both sleepy every day.
Me more so than usual because like I haven't gotten a good sleep in like forever now, so.
Oh, please do tell me about your sleeping troubles.
I'm just saying, okay?
I need all these tabs.
Tell them no.
They're reminders. If I close the tab, I will forget to do those things.
I think you should come over here and hang our laundry for us.
Mm-mm.
What do you mean, mm-mm?
I mean, mm-mm.
What do you mean, mm-mm?
I mean, mm-mm.
You better take it back.
Mm-mm.
Take it back.
Take it back. No. Oh, sorry. I have a phone call. Please hold.
Tell it no.
I have to call a 666 number. I have to speak to the devil himself.
What?
Ahsoka is spying on us through the crack in the scene change.
What? Right. Okay, let's do it. And then they all turn into bananas.
Turn into bananas.
Okay, intro, outro. What are we gonna do?
No.
In the intro?
Oh, look at the time. I gotta go to bed. Good night.
Hey, you can't do that. You can't do that.
I can and I will.
Your face
Is a beautiful think of.
feels kind of crazy that we're on to season 4 already.
What do you mean already?
I know, because like we were going so slowly before, so I'm used to
Because
that,
we
like,
only
very
did one a
slow
year.
pace. Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, like going through it so much faster, and I was like, wow, we're already at season 4. This is amazing.